All right. Are you ready? You ready to talk to some people about caregiving today? You look really pretty bright and cheery. Chris doesn't talk yet, as you know. I said yet. He does make some vocalizations. He makes some sounds. Um, a lot of times I can tell if he's angry or if he's being really sweet. Sometimes he's really sweet, like at bedtime when I put him to bed, because that's his favorite thing to do, is go to bed. And put him to bed, and he'll say, like he's trying to tell me he loves me. I'll take it that way until he can use words, right? And then sometimes he's really mad. Do you get mad sometimes, Chris? Do you get mad sometimes? You could say yes. Say yes. You get mad sometimes. He does communicate with his facial expressions, which that has come a those have come a long way since I first brought him home. But he does communicate with his facial expressions. I can tell if he's in pain or upset, things like that. But he also signs yes. He's done that for a long time. He signs yes when he answers a question, yes. And if he says no, he says it with his eyes, and you'll see a quick to one side or the other. Lately, he's got his head more into it, so sometimes he turns his whole head, or kind of tries to. Sometimes he turns his eyes and then his head, but that's okay. It's coming along. Yes, I know. Sometimes you say yes, sometimes he says no. And I try to I try to answer, I try to ask questions that are yes or no questions so that he can answer, so that he can communicate back. He actually, for the first time ever, about 2 weeks ago, chose something to watch on TV with me asking him yes or no questions. Do you want to watch this? And he said no. And I said, do you want to watch this? And he said yes. That was a huge step. That's one thing that's progress, and that's one thing I learned early on is progress is progress. I was in a support group of some sort. I think it was through Caring Bridge or Caring Bridges, maybe Caring Bridge, maybe something like that. And I hooked up with some other people and a young man who had a brain injury. He had a brain injury. His mom had been asked to sign off on his organs, and he wasn't doing well, but he was writing to me, so I knew he was okay. He was also going to school, some things like that. And one of the things that he told me, I believe his name was Kyle, one of the things that he told me was progress is progress. And so every little piece of progress that we have, I celebrate. I celebrate every little thing, because progress is not digressing, right? Anything that is progress, anything that is forward, anything that is positive, anything that is better, we celebrate as and say progress is progress, right? And so we um, we are very thankful when there's progress, and Chris is making a lot of progress right now. Regaining his mobility. There's just a whole lot of things going on that we'll maybe talk in another broadcast, another podcast. But for this one, what I really want to focus on is that as caregivers, we got to give ourselves a break. The last 2 days have just been hectic around here. Some days things go smoothly, and even on the days that things go as smoothly as they possibly can, there's still stuff, right? There's still emotional stuff to work through. You got to unpackage different things. You got to pull those thoughts in, because they can go so negative so fast. And so one thing that I focus on is staying positive. And just yesterday we had to do a shower, so that set us back. He didn't get up till noon, and I don't like that. I like for him to be up by 9:30 or 10. We're still working on that. Usually we're up by 11, but we have so much to do in the morning. He takes 2 breathing treatments at least on his good days. If he's having any problems, then we take 3, and those are 8 minutes apiece. And so that's almost 30 minutes of that. Then he wears his vest. Well, then I have to clean him all up and get a shirt on him so he can wear his vest for 20 minutes. I can get by with 15 on his vest, but we usually do 20, don't we? And that helps keep there's a percussion vest, and it keeps all of this broke up inside. And so we do that. So that's nearly an hour just breathing treatments in the vest. And so it just takes that part of the day. And so I have to give myself a break. So we had to do all of that and get in the shower, which yesterday was a really good shower. He sat in the chair. He doesn't always sit in the chair real well. It makes me more stressed out, but he did really good. But that's another 30 minutes or so. So if we get up by noon, well, that's good, right? We got a lot done. We got showers and breathing treatments and the vest done by the time I get him up. This morning we had other issues to take care of that will remain nameless, but caregivers will know what I'm talking about. And so it just takes time. So I have to give myself. Also, the other thing he does sometimes is he's started sleeping really good. When he makes progress, he needs more sleep. And so he has to rest more. So he's been sleeping really good. And sometimes in the morning is when he really goes to sleep good. So I let him sleep because I know he needs that. You don't get that kind of open mouth sleep. Your body doesn't go into that unless you need it. And so I have to just say, give yourself a break. I was late getting him up, and that sometimes it's easy to focus on that one negative thing. It's easy to go, man, I'm a failure as a caregiver. I'm not doing any good as a caregiver because I didn't get him up till right at noon. My goodness, what all did I do this morning? While he was sleeping, I made all of his meals on into tomorrow. I'll talk about tube feeding at some point in our journey, our podcast journey here, because I actually give him real food. So that means I cook everything. There's no processed food. I cook everything and blend it down, and there's all these processes. I'll probably make a series just on tube feeding and how to do the real food stuff, and because I felt like that was best for him, and we've been doing that now for a long time. I don't know, and it does seem to be best. And he's gained a little bit of weight finally and things like that. But anyway, so I had to realize I got a lot done. 2 loads of laundry. Yeah, I got a shower this morning. That can be a rarity for the caregiver, right? You're welcome. Just tell you you're welcome. And so I just had to sit down a minute ago and go, it's okay. Give yourself a break. It's okay. I got a lot done. Maybe I didn't get this done or that done or something else done, but I have to say, I got a lot done. I still have to work today to go make some money, right? And so it can just all pile in on us, and it can feel like so many days it feels like it's just overwhelming. And if our schedule gets messed up, then my brain gets messed up. My emotions get messed up. Chris is doing poorly, or he's not doing as good as I want him to. We have to add some breathing treatments, or he's coughing a whole lot, or he didn't sleep well. That mixes into this big emotional mess, right? And I can just tank so fast. And so, as a matter of fact, yesterday, I'll just be point blank honest here. You want me to just tell him everything, Chris? It'll all be about me, all my stuff. I tanked yesterday afternoon. I just sat and played a video game. I was just like, I don't feel like doing nothing. I don't want, he's up, he's good. He can sit here, we can watch TV, we can watch a little this or that. And I just sat there and I just kind of tanked. And then I went, okay, you've got to stop. So one thing I've learned is if I can head that depression off at the pass, I can get ahead of it. But I have to act once I realize this is swallowing me up. I'm fixing to be Jonah in the well in the bottom of the sea in the deepest, darkest place of the earth, right? And I'm not going to be able to dig out. There's been times that I've stayed in a depressed state or battled with the mental illness of depression, if you want to call it that way, and anxiety is high too. And I find myself in those circumstances, and I've gone for days and weeks and months at times because of the loss. We'll talk about loss at some point in our podcast too, because caregiving comes with a loss. I lost who Chris was, and yet I still have him. I love you, Bubba. You're doing awesome, by the way. You're doing great, right? But there was a loss. I lost my lifestyle. I lost the ability to go to Africa. There's so many things in that aspect. And so when we have those emotions, they're not always bad, but we can't let them have us. And that's one of the hardest things, is to fight through that depression. But I have to start by giving myself a break. Because if all I do is focus on, man, I didn't get this done, I didn't get this done, I didn't get this done, then I'm going to be beating myself up. And I don't need to beat myself up. I need to lift myself up, right? And my way to do that is to get in the Bible, to look at the scriptures. As a matter of fact, one of the scriptures I was reading this morning, it's in my caregiver blog. I do a caregiver blog. It's called Daily Devotions for Caregivers. But to be honest, when I named it that, I was doing it every day. But to be honest, it's not daily. It should have maybe been called When I Feel Like Doing It, caregiver Devotion for Caregivers, because my day gets busy. And if I don't have time to do it, I have to give myself a break and go, it's okay. I'm not just sitting on my backside, not doing anything, right? And so the day-to-day struggle of caregiving can get to us. And if we let it, it can bring us down into what I call the pit. As a matter of fact, that's what I was reading this morning in Lamentations 3. It says, I called on your name, O Lord, from the lowest pit. This is Jeremiah, and he was literally in a pit. But I can be in that emotional pit. I can be in that depressed pit. I can be in the anxiety pit. And when you're anxious, you don't look depressed. You look hyper, right? That can be hyper. And so he said, I called on your name, O Lord, from the lowest pit. You have heard my voice. And he goes on down and says, you drew near on the day I called on you, and you said, do not fear. That's a powerful scripture. And so I've been meditating on this scripture all day. When my heart cries out and I don't even have words, God gets it. When I can't even, my emotions are high, and I feel the loss, and I feel the sadness, and I get washed away in all these, what we would call negative emotions, but they're normal. Let's not call them negative. We got to process them. The power is in processing those emotions, being sad and getting out of that, and moving on to take care of the Chris I have here now, right? And so I go to a scripture. I'm going to meditate on this all day, that God heard me in that lowest pit. When I feel like I'm in despair, and I feel like I'm not getting anything done, then I cry out to God, and God will hear me. And as a matter of fact, He will meet me right there. He doesn't go, get out of that pit and I'll come help you. No, you got yourself in there. Figure it out. You made that bed now. You fixed. No, God says, I'm right here. I got you. It's okay. We'll go through this together, because I'm still your God. He doesn't tap out or check out or clock out because things get tough. He actually moves in a little bit closer, and the scripture tells us that. So I can go to scriptures, but yesterday what I did is I was like, oh, I see where I'm going. This is sucking me in. I'm going to get sucked into this deep dark pit, and I'm not going to be able to get out. And I went, okay, then change what you're doing. I laid my phone down because I had been playing a little game all day, right, off and on. And so I laid my phone down, and I told Chris, I said, you watch this, I'll be back. And I went to the back of the house, and I vacuumed and I dusted. I know it's weird because I don't usually like to do that kind of stuff. I cleaned the bathroom, I got it all swept, and I did, and you know what? It lifted. But it's about finding the strategy that works for you. And I'm not just getting my brain off of what happened, my thoughts off of what happened or where I am. I'm just refocusing that energy, and I refuse to go down. But I will tell you, that suction into that mental state can be so strong. And sometimes I haven't had the energy to fight. That's where I go back to scriptures, or friends, or look online. I've looked for counseling. I haven't done that yet, but I'm kind of older, and so I'm like, well, I'm going to get some young whippersnapper is going to help me, right? Okay, that's my problem, but I'll figure it out anyway. And so uh, I've learned to give myself a break. For many years, I would go to bed at night and I'd go, I didn't get anything done at all today. Oh, woe is me. This is horrible. I got nothing done today. And then I stopped saying that to myself. I stopped. And that's what I started saying was, hold on. What did you get done today? And I would go through the list. Well, I did get this done. I did get this done. I did get this done. I did not finish this. I didn't get started on this. I didn't get to do that. And I really wanted to do that. But I did get this and this and this and that done. And so I stopped telling myself you didn't get anything done today. If you are a caregiver, especially whether you're full time or not, if you're a caregiver, you got stuff done today. You just may not have got the stuff done you wanted to get done, but you got something done. And sometimes just getting up and getting your loved one up is something, right? Ain't that right? And so I had to stop. I had to be careful how I talk to myself. I'm really careful around Chris. I'm super positive around him. I try. I'm always encouraging him. I'm telling him he's doing a good job, because he is. I'm telling him that he's working hard and he's making progress, because he is. And I don't always let him see or even hear when I have problems of my own, right? Because he don't need that. So when I'm going to bed at night, then I know, because I love you so much. And so, and I want that positive environment. I want those positive words spoken over him. And so, when I go to bed at night, I've learned to change the conversation I have with myself. Even this morning, I had that conversation, because I was like, oh, I ain't got anything done, but I have. Like I said, I got meals made into tomorrow. I got 2 loads of laundry done. I got him up. I got all his breathing treatments. I got all that done. I've got a lot of stuff done. I still have a lot of stuff I haven't done. What do you do when you're overwhelmed with all that? You have to just take it to God and go, He heard me in this pit. And you know what? He drew near. That means He crawled in the pit next to Jeremiah. He crawls in there with you and goes, I got you. It's okay. You don't have to do anything right this minute. And here's the coolest thing. This is one of the coolest things I love about God. And I've learned this on this caregiving journey. We don't always have to have words. He gets it. If sometimes I'm overwhelmed and I don't have words, and maybe I'm not really a big crier. Every once in a while I do. maybe sometimes I'm sitting here drinking my coffee, staring at the wall, and I feel overwhelmed, and I feel washed out, and I feel like a failure, and la da 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 da. You fill in the blank, and I just go, big heavy sigh. God gets every emotion behind that sigh, and He understands the words I couldn't say. He gets us. He hears us. He hears that inside part of us. He's that close. Why? Because He crawled into the pit with us. It says, I called on your name, O Lord, from the lowest pit. And then He said, you drew near on the day I called. That means while I'm in the pit, God's in there with me. And I'm on the cloud nine and things are going good. I got a new vehicle. Things are good. I'm on cloud nine. God's there too. He never leaves us. And once I figured out that God didn't get off the throne when Chris had a wreck and my life changed forever, I began to realize that not one thing in the kingdom changed in the middle of my tragedy. There's nothing big enough here to change God. There's nothing big enough in this life to dethrone God, to make God throw in the towel and go, that's it. I'm not going to be the king of the world anymore. I don't want to be the king of the universe. I don't want to be nobody. No, I'm done. That's it. No, He is still God, even when we go through hard things. And He draws near to us when we call to Him. And if we're in a pit, that means He comes close in the pit. If we're sitting in the back of the cave, like 31 days in Psalm 31, sitting in the back of a cave, right? God's got us there too. He is right there with us. If we're in the hospital, He's with us. He doesn't say, I'll be here when you get home. He goes with us. When we're at home and things are going good, He doesn't say, well, I'll tap out, I'll come back, and when things go bad, call me, I'll come back. No, He's just this all powerful, ever present help in times, plural, of trouble. Ever present. He doesn't go away. And that's how this is some of the ways I encourage myself in the middle of my caregiving journey. I'm putting him to sleep. You see, he's dozing off. Don't doze off. You saying I'm boring? Anyway, so I hope I said something that was encouraging. Stick around. We'll be doing the podcast once a week on the caregiving, and I got lots of topics to go. So stick around. Come back. Follow, subscribe, all those things. I'll catch you next time.